Welcome to Women Mastering Midlife, where we dive deep into the rich complexities of womanhood in our middle years. I'm your host, Victoria Bird, a pharmacist, certified women's health coach, and your guide on this transformative journey. Whether you're navigating perimenopause, thriving in menopause, or mastering midlife's many transitions, this is your weekly dose of expert guidance, compassionate support, and a judgment-free space to explore it all. Here, we're empowering women to master midlife on their terms, reclaiming our health, our happiness, and our power. Together, we'll rewrite the narrative around this remarkable stage of life, from something to dread into a beautiful, bold transition. I'm so glad you're here. Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of Women Mastering Midlife. In this solo episode, wanted to start with something and talk about something that I haven't really shared, but I've been thinking a lot about lately. And I'll keep it very brief. This will not be an hour-long interview conversation, but I think that this is something that should be said because now is the time that I am seeing all of the, be summer ready, wearing shorts makes people uncomfortable, putting on a bathing suit and going to the pool, all of the hang-ups that we have about our bodies make us want to exercise. And it's really hard to be in that space when you don't have the capacity to sign up for another workout program. And this world that we live in with social media is designed, in my opinion, partly to make us feel bad about ourselves and to feel imperfect and a failure and have to keep trying and striving and buying and consuming. And we always feel like we're coming up short. And so I've recognized in myself over this last year and a half that while navigating something traumatic, stressful, full of grief, or just freaking hard, that you may not have the capacity to show up in the way that we are being told every single day that we need to show up. And so I want this to be an opportunity to talk about that. And I'm going to be vulnerable. And I'm going to start by saying that I haven't lifted a weight in almost a year. Yesterday was the first time that I went into my gym and did a full body workout. And it was a 20-minute full body Peloton workout. And then I went for a walk. And if you've been in this space with me for a while, if you've followed me on social media, you know that I have over the years shared every 6-week program, every workout, every progress photo, and a few years back, I decided that weight loss wasn't the goal. It was to be stronger, to get to be an active grandparent, to travel in retirement, all of those things. Movement was a cornerstone for me, and I was so proud of it. And I wanted to motivate others, and it also held me accountable. So for the person who tells women that resistance training matters in midlife and how crucial it is to bone strength and, to longevity, to admit that I haven't touched a weight in almost a year, it's a really uncomfortable tension that we're going to sit in today, because I feel like there's a lot of you living in that same tension. And you should be working out, and you believe it, you know it, you thought it, you check out all the workouts you could sign up for, but you cannot for the life of you find the way in right now. And if you're listening to this and feel that way, this is the episode for you. So I'm going to talk about first what's actually happening in your body when you're moving through a very difficult time. We'll talk about, why standard fitness advice can actually backfire in these seasons, how to incorporate movement in a way that protects you instead of depletes you. And I'm going to tell you about the change I'm making and how I show up online, because I think I've been part of the problem. And I recognize that. So, your nervous system, let's just start here. Your nervous system doesn't care about your workout plan. Okay. And the physiology is something that I'll briefly touch on, because I think that sometimes you get confused with motivational content. And this is going to give you some permission to just, take a moment. When you're moving through trauma, grief, separation, loss, or just sustained low-grade stress, your nervous system is running a survival program. It doesn't know the difference between a real predator and a divorce attorney's email. Oh boy. It responds to threats the same way it has for thousands of years. We still have those little caveman brains sometimes. Cortisol stays elevated, sleep quality degrades, appetite regulation shifts, your body's capacity to recover from physical stress narrows significantly. But this is the part that you don't see on the motivational reels about exercise. When you are already in that state and you add hard, intense training on top of it, you're not getting the adaptive response that you're after. You're not building the way you would in a stable, well-rested season. You're adding a load to a system that is already managing more than it can comfortably hold. And I think that's something that we need to really think about here, is that, there's a concept in stress physiology called allostatic load. It's a cumulative wear and tear on the body from being under chronic stress. And so when your allostatic load is already high, the smartest, most clinically informed thing you can do is not push harder. It's to lower the total demand on your body so that you can actually heal. So when I tell you that gentler movement might be the right call here, there's actually a physiologic reason. I'm not being soft on you. I'm not making excuses for myself. I'm reading research, and this is what is going on. There's a difference to applying research to real life instead of an ideal life. And a lot of times when we're looking at exercise research, we're looking at it in a controlled environment. And when you're undergoing a traumatic event or you're experiencing grief, stress, all the things, life is that is an uncontrolled variable, right? So I also want to talk to you about how your body responds and how you as a person respond. There's no right answer. Every woman responds to a hard season in a different way. And I want to honor that for you, because everything out there is so freaking cookie cutter that you forget the humanity in a box program or a diet or all these lifestyle changes. And we've been told as midlife women, like, we're hearing all of this. You have to eat protein. You have to strength train. You have to. And when you just don't have it in you, it makes it harder. So I want to honor the way that people approach stress. Some people find that movement is necessary. It's their antidepressant. There's mood regulating effects of exercise. They're very well documented. And so some women have replaced SSRIs with exercise under the care of a supervision of a doctor, like under the care and supervision of a provider. Do not make that choice by yourself. But then there's also women who get outside and go for a walk, or they lean into yoga or Pilates. And those, like getting outside and taking a brisk walk or lifting something heavy or even running, it does something to steady the mind, right? It discharges the anxiety. The endorphins kick in. It keeps the dark days from swallowing you whole. And if that's what you need to do to get through, then movement is your medicine, and you should lean into it. And you shouldn't feel guilty about it. You shouldn't think that I'm telling you not to in this episode. I'm just saying, for the women out there that need the opposite, you need physical peace before physical effort. Your body's asking for stillness, for rest, for recovery. And every time you try to force a workout, It lands as one more demand on a system that is already maxed out. If that's you, then rest is your medicine, and you should lean in to that. And there shouldn't be guilt around that either. Neither one of the two is more virtuous. Neither one means you're doing midlife wrong. The work, the actual work, is learning to read your own individual signals instead of borrowing someone else's. So the woman on your feed who swears her 5 a.m. workout, her big, strong lifts saved her life is not lying. She's just not you. And her answer is not automatically your answer. And you are not failing if your answer is different. And that's where I think sometimes social media can be a curse and not a blessing. And sometimes those fitness programs isn't the answer right now. So in a season like this, for me, a season I'm in, a season you might be in, I'm not a fan of handing someone an off-the-shelf workout program. And that's why sometimes the work that I do is so important, because we get to understand where you are and the bandwidth you have before we discuss the kind of programs out there. So that is part of the nuanced approach, the individualized treatment plan, because a program assumes a stable, predictable life. It assumes consistent energy, and it assumes a reliable bandwidth. And I'm not saying that everybody's life for 6 weeks is completely perfect and you can go on autopilot and not even worry about anything. Like, you have no stress, you have a great job, you have a great relationship, everything is perfect, hunky-dory, I can do my 6-week program. That's not what I'm saying. There are moments and there are seasons in life where the workouts would compound what's going on. But they do a lot of the workout programs think that you have a reliable bandwidth and that you have the same 45 minutes available on the same 3 days every single week. And I've told women multiple times over, put it in your calendar like it's an appointment. You make an appointment to get your hair cut, you show up on time, make an appointment for your workouts. And for a woman who's living in the middle of upheaval, that structure doesn't exist. And it took me living in my own upheaval to recognize that sometimes it just doesn't exist. And so sometimes structure isn't support. It's one more thing we're failing at. There's a lot of Instagram accounts I have muted for 30 days. Some of them I've remuted because I commend them for their consistency and showing up every day and doing the thing and maintaining muscle mass and bone density. I applaud them. And every day that it took all of my energy to make sure my kids are okay, trudge through emails and nonsense, that rigid template built in a workout plan was built for a version of me that isn't available right now. And you might be saying the same thing about yourself. And that was a really hard pill to swallow. And so I wanted to just say that this is especially the time where you need someone working with you one-on-one, with a responsive approach that meets you where you actually are, week to week, instead of a generic plan, a template that is insisting where you should be. Some weeks it's strength training. Some weeks it's a walk and a good night's sleep. Some weeks it's just getting through. And then you build from there when there's more to build with. You know, when it comes to nutrition, I tell women all the time that protein is the building block. It's like a Lego block, and you can't build a Lego house without Lego blocks. Well, it's kind of the same thing with your body and working out. If you don't have the energy and the stamina and the rest and the nutrition to build with, what are you going to end up with? So that's why the first thing, when I share that I'm getting back on track or recovering from an injury or starting a new challenge, people will message me and DM me asking me, what am I doing? What am I doing to get back on track? The first thing I will ask them is, what does on track even look like for you right now? Like in this chapter, on this page of your book, what does on track look like? Is it a great week where work is on cruise control and the kids are in a routine and you can get some decent sleep? Or is it a season where getting out of bed and taking a shower and eating a couple meals a day is what you can consistently do to show up for yourself? And so we're not looking to make ourselves into this future picture where everything is settled down, where we are making some get ready with me Instagram reel about our day. I do love those. I am a sucker for those. But we need to start with the truth of life and not the fantasy of it. And that's part of the reason why I've had such a hard time showing up on social media consistently, honestly, because I am not building a fantasy. Like, I don't have the capacity for fantasy life. And real is raw, and some of it is private because of my choosing. Some of it is private because of my children. Some of it is private because I'm still in the middle of legal stuff and I can't, and like, that's just the way that it is. And so that is why I'm showing up with a real life. And that's why I don't show up very often, honestly. So now I want to get practical. I think that you should keep some movement in your life at all times. And there are some gentle ways to do it. So think of this as options on a menu, okay? Like it's a buffet. We're walking the buffet line. We're assessing, right? This is not a price fix 3-course meal. This is not a prescription that you have to fill at the counter. This is some suggestions. I like to give some ideas people can pick and choose, right? The first thing I will say is walking, especially getting outside. The weather's not bad right now. We have no excuses. Well, now it's hot and sunny, so there's always an excuse, I suppose. But the top of my list would be a walk outside. You get physical movement, you get nervous system regulation, all wrapped into one. You get vitamin D, you get fresh air, you get a rhythm under your feet. These are all great things for a dysregulated nervous system. Put some music in. I have like a 90s girl summer playlist I've been listening to of all the things that were in my 6 CD car deck. I had a Honda Civic or a Honda Accord with a 6 CD changer in the trunk. These were some of the CDs that were in my trunk. Other options are gentle yoga, stretching, mobility work, doing restoration, right? Like restorative over powerful. The goal here is to remind your body that it's safe. We're not being chased by a lion. We're not doing how many splat points are we getting this week? Keeping it restorative, keeping the body moving though. And I would like to say that I wouldn't go more than 2 days without any movement. And that means a 10-minute walk. 10 minutes after a meal, that's all you've got. That's movement. It doesn't need to be 45 minutes. You don't need to track it with your iWatch, or I have a Garmin attached to Strava and it tells me, gives me kudos. I'm not chasing kudos. I'm looking for doing things to keep my body taken care of. I know in the long run, I want to be an active grandma. I want to travel. And right now, in the season of untangling a 23 plus year relationship, it's, there's no guarantee that there's a person to help me navigate getting older. And if I'm doing that solo, I need to make sure that I'm doing what I can when I can to protect this one body that I have. So, walking, sometimes I'll drop the kids off and go for a walk around the lake. If Abby has cheer practice, I will walk around the neighborhood at the school. If it's gross outside, I'll take a walk on the treadmill. I might lay on the floor. Well, I have to keep safe. If I'm on the floor, my dog recognizes I'm on the floor, and then it's not restorative at all. But if I can lock myself in my room and stretch and just do a few minutes of stretching before bed, or when you get out of the shower, if you took a nice hot shower and your muscles are loose, but moving into the idea that you're adding movement folded into your life instead of scheduled as one more appointment you have to keep. It lessens the burden and the pressure. There's already enough pressure, right? We need a pressure valve release. We don't need to implode. So I also want to make sure that we remember that you need to make sure stretching. I said getting out of the shower, your warm muscles. But also, if you're going to go, I went to the driving range and I hit golf balls. And I haven't done that since before Maddie was born, and she's 17 now. So it's been a little while. And I haven't moved a lot, and I haven't done a lot of functional training. And when I was telling my mom that I was going to the driving range, she was like, make sure you stretch. You don't want to pull something or hurt your shoulder because you haven't done that. And so I was aware of that, and I took it very careful, and I did some nice slow stretches before I did anything. And you also need to remember, you need to pay attention to pain signals. And I feel like pain, I had spine surgery, I had a neck disc issue, I've had many things, right? But I will say that paying attention to pain signals is important. When you're coming back from an injury, or even, I don't know what I did to my shoulder, but my shoulder sucked for like 8 months now. It's finally getting better. But I needed to go easy on myself. And so I wanted to make sure I was doing slow reps, good form. You need to take that time before you can go back to doing what it was you did. When I realized that it had been almost a year since I lifted weights and I decided to go and do a full body workout, the weight choice that the weights I picked up would have embarrassed myself a year ago. But I know if I go heavy too soon, like I'm already sore. I worked out yesterday, and it's going to take me a while to get up off this chair when I'm done recording this. And I know that I could have absolutely hurt myself and set myself back 6 weeks if I went too hard, too fast. Do not compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. And if you're starting over again, like I'm in part 7 of my workout journey. I start and stop, and I get hurt and I stop, and I have kids that need me for things and I stop, so I'm a start stop, but I know I'm always going to get back on the wagon. And I think that's part of it too, is the mental capacity to understand this too shall pass, right? I was watching Tom Hanks say, somebody told him once, if there's something really bad in your life, just remember this too shall pass. And also, if there's something really good in your life, this too shall pass. So mindset is everything. Even when I just don't have it in me to work out for a little while because I got stuff going on, I know I'm going to get back to it. I'm not allowing my brain to say I'm just going to become one of those women or one of those people that doesn't exercise, or I'm just going to wither away. It's fine. I know this season will pass, and I will have my energy again. And so on the days that I have spurts and I'm like, oof, my shoulder doesn't hurt, I've got time, and I feel good, then I'm going to work out. And I'm not going to feel guilty. I am not in the season of life that I'm actively trying to grow muscle. I don't have the bandwidth to make sure I'm consistently eating enough protein to build the muscle. I know I am not in the mindset to work out consistently enough to tear down my muscle fibers so that they can recover and rebuild stronger. Right now it's like cruise control on the workouts. And that is totally fine. But it took me a while to get there. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about were there's some things we forget when we're just surviving. And thank goodness for journals and podcasts where I get to get on a microphone and share my life. But there are two things that tend to fall apart in hard seasons because movement is only one piece of this. First thing I want to remind you is nutrition. Okay? You cannot heal a body you're not feeding. Okay? And I will say this because when I am in a hard season, I don't stress eat. I lose my appetite. And I know that when everything is heavy, cooking and planning and prepping and even remembering to eat can feel like it's just one more job. And if that's the case, keep it simple. And let me tell you, in the beginning of my separation process, it was very shocking. I did not see it coming. I was reeling. And I called my nutrition coach, Mickey, and I said to her, this isn't about growing muscle. This isn't being in a maintenance phase. This isn't being in a bulk phase. This is about not withering away. It's about not losing yourself to the point where you are a shell of a body. So keep it simple. This is one of the things she told me. Keep it simple. Eat a breakfast and a lunch and a dinner. If you can only eat 2 meals because you don't feel good, eat a breakfast and a dinner. Protein, make it something you don't have to think too hard about. Add something green when you can. Just get enough food consistently. Nourishment matters more in a hard season, even when it's the last thing you don't have energy for. It's interesting because, people say, oh, I was so stressed. My hair was falling out. My nails were brittle. I wasn't sleeping. Sometimes that's also because your body is starving. And when your body is hungry, the first thing, I'm like, why would it grow hair? We go into protection mode, right? So your hair and your nails, the first signs of malnutrition. But it becomes a slippery slope because if you don't give yourself enough nourishment, you're not going to have the energy to ever feel like you want to move your body. And it's going to affect your sleep. The second thing I want to talk about, I'm just going to say it. Don't use alcohol to get through. Please. I know in COVID, it was a meme and a joke of like taking the stroll around the neighborhood when it's glass recycling and looking in people's bins because everybody was in lockdown and that was the only way you could get out of your house. And that was the way to recognize the level of alcohol consumption was pretty visible in the glass bin. And I will say it is an easy pull. A glass of wine to take the edge off, a beer, a cocktail at the end of a brutal day might feel like relief. But it works against you on every axis that matters right now. It fragments your sleep, it worsens your mood regulation, slows the recovery your body is trying to do. So I'm not here to judge you if alcohol is the direction that you are choosing right now in this hard season. But one of the best decisions I made in the beginning of all this was that I wasn't going to drink alcohol. I slept better, my body recovered better, and I showed up for my people in the best way possible. So I'm saying this as somebody who understands exactly why the bottle can look so appealing. And I am somebody who wants better for you. So I told you at the beginning, there was a change I've been making, and this is it. I'm rethinking my daily workout posts and the progress pictures and the whole format of documenting my body and my training for an audience. I moved away from weight loss as a goal years ago. That shift happened a long time back, and I stand by it. But living through this past year and a half has shown me something that I didn't fully see before. Even without the weight loss framing, posting daily workouts and progress pictures still feeds the same machine. It still feeds that comparison engine that lives on social media, the one that women are just left scrolling at the end of an exhausting day, feeling like they're failing at one more thing. I was part of that. Even with the best intentions, even with a message I believed in, I was contributing to the exact pressure I now spend my time trying to relieve. And I can't keep doing that with a clear conscience. So I'm changing it. I don't have the whole new approach figured out yet. And you will probably still see workouts posted, maybe as Be Real with words over it, but not so much as a look at how much I'm lifting, look at how I'm showing up every day, but more of an honest, in real time, we're all in this struggle bus together. Because I think it's more useful for me to say I'm going to still be figuring this out. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to approach it, because I do want the message of strength training and the importance to bone health and muscle health to stay a focus for midlife women. So I'm not going to try to pretend that I've arrived at a tidy conclusion of how I'm going to navigate this, but I know I want to show up in a way that makes women feel more like there's room for them wherever they are, instead of one more reason to feel behind. So here's what I want you to take away from this whole conversation. Giving yourself permission to rest is not giving up. It's recognizing that life moves in the seasons. And the season you're in right now has different demands than the one before it, and different possibilities than the one that's coming. Strength training will be a part of the plan again. For both of us, for all of us. When the energy comes back, when the sleep gets longer, when the project at work finally wraps, the paperwork is signed, or the hardest part is behind you, there's a version of you on the other side of this who will have more to give, and she will want to move her body differently. The research will still be true then. Your body will still be capable of adaptation. The window is not closing, and we are not leaving you behind. So hold the goal loosely. Know that it's there. Know that it's waiting. And let that be enough for right now. Because right now, the walk is enough. The rest is enough. 3 square meals is enough. Stretching, breathing, getting some sunlight, showing up even quietly, even without logging a single rep, is enough. If you're in a hard chapter and you want someone to help you build something that fits your real life, not a fantasy version of it, my DMs are always open. And in the least inappropriate way, I'm going to say, slide on in. That's where the kind of work that we need to do together will start. Come find me. I'm on all the socials. I love Substack. That's one of my favorite places to spend time. And I'm here. Send me an email. But know that you're in this with somebody else who sees you. Until the next time, I'm blessed with an idea or an ill guest on my recording schedule. You'll hear from just me. And I think it's good. I'm terrified of video, but I think that it's a good opportunity for anyone out there who's looking for somebody to help them navigate this process to see what I'm made of. That's part of the hard thing in social media, is that messages like this aren't clickbait. And the, well, yes, and, or the, well, no, but, or, well, this is what science used to say, but the new research says those conversations don't usually make it to the top of people's algorithms because they're not fancy, they're not riveting, they're not shocking. It's just good old-fashioned, simple messaging. And that's what I'm about, keeping it simple. Not easy, but simple. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I clocked 37 minutes. Look at that. I love doing this. I love talking with you. I love connecting with you. I love hearing your stories. I love knowing that change has been made, that doctors are getting on board, that pharmacists behind the counter aren't denying your prescriptions unjustly. So please keep in touch and please reach out because it's one of my favorite things.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Women Mastering Midlife. If something you heard today resonated, I'd be so grateful if you'd share it with a friend who might need a little extra support on her midlife journey. Remember, small changes can make a big difference, and you don't have to navigate this transition alone. We will be back next week with more expert guidance and compassionate conversations to help empower you to master midlife on your terms. Until then, you can find us on Instagram at Women Mastering Midlife, or come connect with me directly at Miss Victoria Bird. And you're looking for deeper connection and support, be sure to join us in the Women Mastering Midlife community. We'd love to continue the conversation with you there. If you've enjoyed this episode, please rate and review this podcast. It helps us reach more amazing women mastering midlife just like you. You'll find all the links from today's episode and ways to connect in the show notes below. See you next time.